Hey, everybody. This is Nevin Gusak, your host of the Populist Patriot. I just wanted to take a little bit of time to wish everybody a belated Happy New Year and Happy Holidays. I was on a family vacation, then I got sick with a really bad cold or respiratory viral infection, and that kind of kept me homebound for New Year's weekend, and then just celebrated my first anniversary with my girlfriend, and we just took a staycation. So I just wanted to wish you all a happy New Year, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. Hope everybody had a good 2022, and hopefully we will have a better 2023. Just wanted to do a couple of updates real quickly. I am going to be going back to doing live streams. I will be moving forward with my Substack articles, but they're going to be more an essay format on different historical and political topics here and there. It is going to be for a paid subscription. I am working on like at least 10 essay and historical long form papers on a variety of topics, which we'll go over in a moment. But I'm going to be going back to live streams because they tend to be less time consuming. They tend to be more engaging in some ways. Of course, I have a lot of responsibilities, my regular career, my daughter, in a relationship, my physical exercise and fitness, very important. That's where I spend a good chunk of my free time, free alone time doing, and as well as with my girlfriend and on occasion my daughter. So that's what's going on. I'm going to get back to some live streams. I know they had some engagements. A couple of the viewers seem to be pretty interested in too, including one fellow. He was a senator slash Senator Huey Long fan. Hope you're still back out there. This YouTube channel, we're still going to have guests. We're going to be having this Tuesday, unless we're going to be having scheduled 7:30 this Tuesday. We're going to be having the well-known conservative commentator and economist and former Republican Senate candidate, William R. Hawkins. He is one of the conservative commentators that actually kind of changed my mind about Reagan, because he wrote an essay for the World and I magazine back in 1988 on the Reagan administration's economic and foreign policies. So William Hawkins, let's call him Bill Hawkins, is going to be on. We're going to be talking quite a bit about his sort of flirtation with libertarianism and how he moved more towards a nationalist type of conservatism. And we're going to be talking about trade and economic policy and how all that intersects with national security. I also like to have left-wing populists on my show. Sometimes they're successful getting them, sometimes not. We recently had former congressional candidate Jen Perelman and Peter Hager, who's a small business person and real estate agent, and he is also a political campaign advisor. These are examples of left-wing populists that I had on my show. Hopefully they will be back on soon at some point. And I'm also working with the YouTuber named Econoboy. He's going to possibly be on my show. We're going to be working out the logistics with that. So we have some exciting things planned for 2023. Make sure you tell people about this YouTube channel. We don't swing Reaganite right or libertarian right, but we also don't go tanky left or Marxist-Leninist left, and we're certainly not National Socialist or fascist. This channel is in the Arthur Schlesinger Jr. or Franklin Roosevelt or Teddy Roosevelt tradition, sort of radical centrist. We are for civic nationalism. We're for a form of populism where the government truly represents the people, the great masses of people, more than the established economic elites. Ultimately, though, government policy, from our view, should balance competing social interests as best as possible. We tend to appreciate what the social, traditionalist, conservative goals like stronger families and an increase in the birth rate and an increase in children's, and of course, quote, good morality, which of course means so many different things to different people. But we feel that the conservative traditionalists, many of them, the sort of fusionist Reaganites that blend free market and free trade globalism with Christian traditionalism, if you will, or Judeo Christian ideology, and strong criticisms of the LGBTQ people and immigrants, we feel that those individuals are kind of intellectually inconsistent. We support policies that are much more consistent with sustaining marriage, the growth of families, and the increase in the birth rate. And we're for a strong national security policy without, being supportive of hyper interventionism all over the world, willy nilly overthrowing governments. But we do recognize that the United States has strategic enemies, and we try to take a nuanced approach into ultimately weaning ourselves off of any form of dependency with the Russian Federation and the People's Republic of China and their allies worldwide. We are for, of course, maintaining alliances, but we also have to hold them accountable so that they don't undermine their own interests or the interests of the United States. Especially through trade and technology transfers to the enemies of our allies, who are often also the enemies of the United States. So that's a little bit about what this channel is. For those of you who are viewing this live stream for the first time, there's going to be a lot of news going on. The American people are absolutely being raped. They're being raped at the pump, even though the prices are going down a little bit. They are definitely being raped in rent and housing costs. They're being raped at the grocery stores. The list, airlines, of course, everyone has heard of what happened to Southwest Air and JetBlue over the holidays, especially New Year's. This is where the heavy handed of the central government, the federal government, needs to come into play. And there has to be really a rewriting of corporate law and a reimagining of what the purpose of a corporation is, which of course should be to make as much profit as possible. But when you have a situation, which we've had for decades, a good chunk of my life, where corporations are just looking for ways to just harvest money from people, from average citizens, and not creating per se a new product or even some sort of new service. But if it's just basically a way of harvesting just money and extracting money from consumers, that's a problem. And this is going to call for major revisions in a nuanced and gingerly way, but yet major revisions of our economic policies. And we're going to have to go back to the pre-Reagan form of capitalism as much as possible. That's the long and the short of the answer here. So we have a lot of news going on. Of course, there's news on the Ukrainian front and its battle against Russia and some of their allies. We're probably going to have J.R. Nyquist on to talk about his latest essay. I'm going to be reaching out to him about that. So we have a lot of exciting things that we're going to be talking about in 2023. And of course, we're going to have the beginning stirrings of the 2024 Republican primary. And who knows if we're going to have a Democratic primary or not. So we shall see. We're probably going to bring Charles Daniels of American Workers First to talk about the railroad strikes and the latest news on the labor front. So I'm going to be reaching out to him. And now concerning the essays I will be writing on Substack, I am working on it. I'm going to tell you the essays, which are going to be large papers, it's going to be worth every penny you pay for this service. I will promise you that. So, some topics I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about in one essay that I'm working on. I'm talking about the decline of Britain as a result of the economic ideology or approach of Margaret Thatcher, Thatcherism, and how Britain's national security and domestic prosperity was severely impaired as a result. I'm going to be talking about how in the United States, the title is Flanking Maneuver. That's a proposed title. And it's going to talk about how the communists and neo-Nazis historically and currently use are the failures of the trickle-down economic system and corporate incentivized globalization to recruit new followers for ultimately a revolution in the United States. How they're gaining slowly but surely members as a result of that, and how reforms actually to the capitalist system will actually is a de-radicalization force. So I'm writing an essay and doing the research on that. I'm going to do an updated research paper on the exaggeration of the Sino-Soviet split, how there is so much more collaboration between Beijing and Moscow during the Cold War than what was previously realized. That is in 1960 and until 1991. I also have an essay on how Reaganism, how its foreign policy towards the America's enemies was very contradictory. And also another part of the essay on Reaganism will also discuss how Reaganism or Reaganomics killed the American dream, killed the economy, killed national solidarity, and pretty much everything else that was good in this country. I'm also going to be writing an essay on my complaints of capitalism. That's the title. Now, I support a form of pre-Reagan capitalism within the framework of the American School of Political Economy. I certainly support international trade. I'm not against immigration because I hate people with funny accents and different skin colors, and I don't mean funny accents to be rude, just different accents. I oppose it on, I support controls on immigration and trade based on national security and also not undermining our national industrial base too as well. And also I am definitely against the exploitation of foreign as well as domestic workers. So it's not from my opposition or a call for radical reforms to trade and immigration is to encourage, on the one hand, national integration, and the other is to support a strong American industrial base to reindustrialize the United States. So when I say my complaint against capitalism, it's more your sort of Milton Friedman, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Stephen Moore, Club for Growth, Wall Street Journal, Larry Kudlow kind of capitalism. And I'm going to be talking about that. And then I'm going to be talking about, of course, my complaints against fascism and National Socialism, and also why I am an anti-communist. So I'm going to have it. I already am developing essays simultaneously on this. It's quite a bit of work. And then I'm also going to have a very long paper on how the Axis powers were spread their form of quote unquote socialism. So I'm going to be talking about the economic policies of all of the Axis collaborationist states throughout Europe and Asia, and even some of the states that lean pro-Axis in Latin America too as well. So we're going to be talking about that because there's this common perception that the Axis powers were right-wing, but by whose definition? And that they were necessarily, people on the left will say, oh, they're agents of capitalism or reactionary. And that's not the case. The Germans and the Japanese try to export their own version of quote unquote socialism or third position economics overseas. Now, the actual result of it was a combination of exploitation, severe corruption. There was a tremendous amount of profiteering by private as well as government interests, as well as also a lot of very stringent controls on labor and, yes, business, private business too as well. So I'm going to be talking about that. The Nazis' own form of revolutionary imperialism, because they viewed their European war as a revolutionary mission. So I'm going to be talking about that, and of course, not from a pro-Nazi position. And there are going to be there are several other topics I'm going to be talking about too as well. Another one that comes to mind is how America's allies historically undermined American interests, primarily through trade policy. Japan, West Germany, and then reunified Germany. To give a couple of examples, they exported quietly, sometimes openly, vital and important technologies to the enemies of NATO, as well as including that of also the United States. The enemies of the United States were often the enemies of NATO. So I'm going to be talking about that too as a cautionary tale of, hey, just because you're an ally doesn't mean you're on the same page as the United States. And I think in some cases we have to expect more of our allies. What else? I think there might be a few other topics, but the subjects escape me right now. But that gives you an example of what Substack essays I'm working on. It's going to take some time. Once I announce them, I'm going to drop an essay or two each month, and it is going to be something I'm going to charge for. I haven't quite determined how much I'll charge. I mean, this is not going to be like $100 a month deal or a $50 a month deal. I would say $20 or under. You're going to get great scholarship. You're going to get great information, and you're going to get some original topics too as well. From a kind of nationalistic, civic nationalist or patriotic point of view, when it comes to economic policies or Thatcherism or Reaganism, it's not going to be like, oh, I hate America. Reagan waved the American flag and talked about mom apple pie and made anti-communist speeches and speeches against socialism. Therefore, he was bad because of that. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it from the position that Reagan and Thatcher, their policies actually undermined quite a few of their goals of strong families and strong national security, and even in some cases more of your small business oriented entrepreneurialism, as well as undermining our defense forces too as well. So anyways, so I'm going to be doing more live streams. That's going to be my New Year's resolution for this channel, 2023. I'm definitely going to try to keep to it. We're going to be having a Boy. We're scheduling him. He's a well-known, pretty well-known, somewhat of a well-known YouTuber. He's had a number of debates with other political YouTubers before. So we're going to have a conversation with him. And we're going to be having a conversation scheduled this Tuesday with the conservative economist and national security expert, William R. Hawkins Jr. And hopefully we'll have people like our returning recurring guests like J.R. Nyquist and Charles Daniels back on. And hopefully I'll have some other guests too as well on the program. So I want to wish everyone a happy and a healthy new year. I hope everyone has a great 2023. To those of you who are struggling out there economically or with mental illness or a combination of issues, my heart goes out to you. Our hearts go out to you. We're praying for you. We wish you all the best. And please, 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 let's fight for a better, let's continue to fight for a better country. That's through the ballot box, word of mouth conversations, through joining your local union or a small business group, or getting involved with a populist candidate, a true populist candidate, not a bullshit populist candidate. Sorry, Matt Gaetz is not a real populist. Donald Trump is not a real populist. So yeah, Joe Biden is not the re-embodiment of FDR. Sorry, no, especially in light of what happened with the railroad worker strikes. So no, with the CSX railroad worker strikes, no. So get involved, pray for the best, continue to work hard, support your families, but be energized And when you see real populist candidates out there, support them. And also, if you have the time and the inclination, form your own YouTube channel. Reach out to other populist-oriented YouTubers, healthy populism, I should say, YouTubers. Reach out, create a network, and hopefully different generations will band together, will realize that we have more in common than differences, and hopefully we can struggle for a better United States of America. So thank you all for listening. I see there are a few listeners. There was a couple of listeners on this live stream. Shout outs to you. Thank you, whoever it was who liked this video. Thank you so much. So we're back to live streams. I'm going to do that as the news comes across my desk, so to speak, or my phone here. And thank you all. Happy New Year. And we'll be broadcasting again. Take care. Good night. And God bless.